What's up, guys? Mike BAK Phony here. This is a vlog to talk a little bit about Dead Space 3 and how we're not going to get any Dead Space 3 content here on this page or on the BFF report or anything like that. As far as I know, not the BFF report. Matter of fact, I'm like 99.99% certain nothing for the BFF report for this game. And it's really shitty. And the reason why is, we'll start with the basic stuff. We already know that the game's getting microtransactions. Again, not a reason I wouldn't cover it. As a matter of fact, that would be a great reason to cover the game, because it would be great to be able to point out, hey, look, here's EA being EA again, right? Oh, they're gonna tax us to death, nickel and diming us and stuff on a game that should not have microtransactions. But unfortunately, there's things that kind of got in the way of that. With the microtransactions thing that came out, I mean, let's talk about like some of the reasons why we're not gonna have coverage on this. With the microtransactions that come out, and the way it works is essentially they're scavenger bots that go through and they can get pieces or things for you. That I guess would be in any normal circumstance would be much more difficult to attain on a first playthrough. Boy, is that stupid. The reason why is because because it's supposed to be there for players that want to have easier access to certain things, to things that maybe would normally be accessible to players who would play through maybe again or on a harder difficulty or something like that. Well, that's just the thing. Like, well, why didn't we just put a more difficult difficulty setting in there, like, hard mode, or Sir Isaac the badass mode or something? Why didn't we have something like that? We don't do that. These things that normally would only be attainable to people who play on the harder difficulty. Well, we'll just make it accessible to anybody by allowing people to pay for it instead of putting in a harder difficulty mode. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Cha-ching, right? You see how that works? It's stupid. It's stupid on the consumer end, because now I feel like as a player, and it's funny. We kind of ran into this. We were going through and we were playing on Chisel, we did. There's an LP video like floating out there that nobody's ever going to see, which really sucks. Maybe I'll play it during a live stream or something like that, because people have to see it. It's really funny. But the unfortunate thing is that as we're going through and we go to the bench, which we spent like 20 minutes at this damn bench, the workbench is where you go to kind of augment your gear and everything out of scraps you picked up. It did seem really deep, which made me think, wow, this is awesome. And then when they said, oh, well, microtransactions will allow you to get access to certain materials or something easier, or whatever it was, the way that they kind of worded it using the scavenger bot system, it kind of made sense. I was like, okay, well, we just did all this awesome stuff to our weapons. Now Shizzle's weapon has like he transformed, he attached like a shotgun or something, or a grenade launcher to the bottom of his like weapon, and that's cool. Like, I played Dead Space 1. I'm almost finished Dead Space 1. I've only gotten just so far in Dead Space 2, and I can already see the progression, like how it get to that point, and it seemed like a really great logical step. Unfortunately, with the scavenger bot system, having to pay money out of your pocket in order to get that stuff, it's just pretty dumb. Now, I mentioned I played Dead Space 1 on the PC, which is a horrible console port. The only reason why I played it was for the Darnell Plays series, right? The Let's Play with Darnell thing on Gamebreaker TV. And what really sucks about it is when I went to go record, I went to go play, I moved my mouse just a little bit, and it was character flying all over. Isaac's just like, oh snap, freaking out, right? And I found out that there's a problem with the way that it V-syncs, like it won't lock to V-sync or something, and I'm getting like a billion frames, so the game works better on lower end computers. And I was like, wait, hold on a second, like this is a problem that I had with Warcraft 2. Like, when I try to load up Warcraft 2 outside of DOSBox, or not on this old-ass machine that's sitting over here, it runs so fast, like my little Oracle's like, and he flies across the screen. So I was like, this is a problem that I have with games from 1995. Why am I having a problem with the game from 2000 and whenever Dead Space 1 came out? So, fine, no problem. I've found ways around it. There's a couple ways you can get around it. Not consumer-friendly ways, mind you. Well, I guess one would be using a controller. But the other one I found was easy. I just load up Fraps and I go to record the episode, and I just tell Fraps to lock the frame rate. That fixes the entire problem. Seriously, telling Fraps to lock the frame rate for the game will actually bring down the frame rate to slow down the game to the point where it'll allow me my mouse input to not be blown to ridiculous proportions. So, yes, Dead Space 1 was a terrible console port. Well, then we get news that, unfortunately, it looks like the Dead Space 3 is going to be a console port as well. Dead Space 2 felt a little bit better. I didn't have the mouse issues. But it still was not necessarily keyboard mouse friendly. fine, we can still make it work. But Dead Space 3, it's a straight up console port again, and this guy's basically just like, yeah, well, fuck these guys. Like, they're obviously not a large part of our of our whatever to. Oh, that's right. It was. We don't really want to create a different experience for players across different systems. We don't want that kind of competition. Fuck you, man. Like, seriously? I'm sorry. It kind of gets my nerves because, you know, dealing with gaming stuff every day, we see people that kind of come out and they say these things that just seem ridiculous. And usually we get it from people who are kind of newer to the industry, right? And they kind of come out with this whole, like, fuck you, gung-ho attitude, and it's just like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. He'll learn. Here's a guy who's been dealing with Dead Space for God knows how long, and dealing with, obviously, with PC users and everything for who knows how long, and here he's saying, oh, well, we don't want to create, like, a different expectation for, you know, PC versus Xbox. Well, that's awesome, because while we were doing the Let's Play with Shizzle and I, while we were recording it, I made a comment about how the Xbox textures look like shit, and I was like, hey, we're going to play this on PC, because this thing looks like garbage, and Shizzle was like, yeah, oh, yeah, totally, we're not going to play this on Xbox. This looks terrible. Okay. Well, unfortunately, that is now going to be the standard, the norm for PC users. So have fun, PC users. Yeah, sure, you'll be able to play at 1920 by 1080 instead of like a simulated 720 upscale to whatever. But your textures are probably still going to look like shit. So, yay! So it's a console port. No DX11 support. That's awesome. It's just it's these kinds of things. It's like, why would you? It made sense for it to be a console port back when the Xbox was actually, and even the PS3 were actually in line with current PCs, like current mid to high end PCs. That made perfect sense, because now it's like, well, I'd only really be able to squeeze out just this much more out of a PC anyway. So why would I really want to bother with having, like, putting so much time and effort into making a PC specific game in terms of options and all that stuff to be able to turn on and off this and that, whatever. And this really sucks, because some players, I mean, well, this game's gonna run on, like, my phone, clearly. I mean, if it's a console port, if it runs on a damn Xbox, which is about as fast as my phone, then why would it not just run on any PC? So great. The good news is that the minimum system requirements are going to be so low that you will not have any problems playing it. Unfortunately, you cannot turn anything up to the point where you can actually enjoy the game, and that sucks. Now, I mentioned that there is an LP that's sitting on my computer, and there is. It's sitting right here. I'd love to show you guys, but unfortunately, with the way the EA system works, they're going to flag it. I have no problem fighting the flag, but if I fight the flag now, and I'd have to fight it for every single video I put up. And just because I win one fight with EA doesn't necessarily mean that I automatically free pass on everything else that I do. So if I do a Let's Play series on Dead Space 3, I would have to fight for every single video, okay? And then I have to hope that they would actually approve it on every single video. When technically I should be able to do it, because it's commentary and all that stuff. I should win each one of those fights. But it's EA. They can kind of do whatever they want, okay? And a BFF report would be great if I was able to monetize it to show you guys. I have to monetize, the BFF report because, it's part of the ZAM network and all that stuff. So if a game will not allow me to monetize it, if I can't monetize a game, then I can't make a BFF report on it. Period. Point blank. It's done. That's it. BFF report is a show that's contracted. It needs ads. That's it. Okay, that's the way it works. If I can't put ads on a BFF report, then that show is now done. It's a waste of time, and that sucks. I would love to just show you guys content, but if I do an LP series, or if I do a BFF report, right? Let's take the BFF report out, because we already know that's not going to happen. If I do an LP series, then we already know that it's going to be every single video I upload, I have to fight on it. So do I want that kind of unnecessary attention from EA? No. I don't want them to be like, who's this guy posting all this stuff? Ha! And that's it. I'm done, right? I'm not saying that they would do that. I'm not saying they have legal grounds to do that. What I will say is I don't have the funds to hire a lawyer to fight back if they do that stuff. I've won many cases through YouTube for monetization. I've won several. And as a matter of fact, I haven't had to do that in a long time. Pretty much everything I post gets approved. But it's different whenever there is something that matches with their content ID match system, right? Whenever it's something like that, you have to fight it. But you have to fight it in order to get approval. Unfortunately, it takes up to 30 days. Do you guys want to see an LP series in 30 days and maybe not even see every episode? I don't think so. And I also don't want that kind of unnecessary attention to my account. I really want to post things where every day or every 2 days or whatever it is, whatever the frequency of the series would be, if it would happen. Do I really want to have a copyright notice, a content ID match every couple days in this account? No, because that's dangerous. I'm telling you, man, YouTube accounts, I love them. I think it's the greatest thing ever. I'm able to connect with you guys. I'm able to do stuff and post it whenever I want. It's a great sharing utility of video content, video media. Unfortunately, it can be taken away from you like that, and it could be for any reason. And 9 times out of 10, you have no recourse. What are we gonna hire a lawyer with what? With what money? That's not gonna work. So, unfortunately, yeah, you're not gonna see anything from us from Dead Space 3 on this channel or on Zam or anything like that because, well, it's because EA is basically a huge dick, and it's not a shocker to anybody. And here's what sucks. I know there are people out there who say I'm never gonna cover EA stuff ever again, right? I'm not gonna see any video content from EA stuff. That sucks, and I understand that mentality, and I want to be there with you. I want to be right there. But unfortunately, there's nothing that, because EA covers so many things, because they keep absorbing all of these games. Eventually they're going to be like one of the big five. They're kind of already, right? Where you're going to have a hard time covering content because they're either partially distributed by, or they're fully distributed by, or created by, whatever, EA. And so it's like, I'm not going to boycott EA. I'm not, because I won't buy the games, right? If I feel a game, the way they're handling a game is terrible, I won't buy that game. That's how I boycott EA, like Dead Space 3. I'm not going to waste my money on it now because DirectX 11, no support for that. It's console ports, period, so all the textures and everything looks like crap. Microtransactions, Day 1 DLC. Yeah, I'm not going to... and just to top it off, playing the Dead Space 3 demo, it didn't really feel like Dead Space at all. It was way too quick-timey and very action-y. What I liked about Dead Space 1 and parts of Dead Space 2 was you felt like you were constantly creeping around, waiting to get your ass jumped by some crazy, weird alien monster thing, right? And that's what I loved about Dead Space 1 and 2. But Dead Space 3 feels like Gears of War. It feels like you're just, big alien thing, I'm gonna shoot in the face. Giant drill, shoot it in the face, right? It's like, it doesn't feel like at all. It feels like an action game. So it's like, I'm not really missing out on anything, am I? So I'm disappointed overall. Yes, yeah, obviously, right? Shocker. But I'm more disappointed in the fact that I have to now not do anything for this game. And if EA does this with another game that I'm looking forward to, I have to do the same thing with that one, because it's just, it's not fair to me. It's not fair to you guys. It's not fair to anybody. I'm sure the people are going to go get the game, they're going to play it, they're going to love it, and that's fine. But it's not something that's going to appear on this channel. It's just not. And that sucks. So thanks, EA. You've ruined yet another series. And I was even watching the damn Dead Space animations on freaking Netflix, getting pumped for this thing. And now I can't even finish the fight. It's not gonna happen. So thanks, EA. You're a bunch of dicks.